All right, it's working. We're back.
Nice.
It's been a while.
Yeah, too long.
All right, let's jump into it. Let me pull up the media again here. Here we go. It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Good Nature. Ow, 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 ow. What's up, my juice lovers? Welcome to Good Nature Radio. This is your host, Charlie Wetlaufer, joined by the number one juice consultant in the entire world, the one and only Chef Ari Sexner, author of The Juicing Companion. And today we have a very special guest, the one, the only, Katelin Slifer. What's up, Katelin?
What's up?
Founder and operator of Juice Co. LG in Los Gatos, California. How's your summer been going?
It's amazing. Summer's my favorite part of year, so I never want it to end.
No, that's right. It is the best season. Okay, so for a quick agenda, the meeting, do a couple updates on Hummingbird, and then we'll talk to Katelin about her background and her awesome business she runs, an amazing business. Then we'll talk a little bit about the juice industry in general. Katelin brought one of her bottles and labels. We'll talk about sourcing bottles and labels and how she does it. Then if we have time, we'll get into some seasonal stuff and industry trends. And with that, I'll give a quick update on Hummingbird. The final production parts have been arriving, which is very exciting. Our suppliers have been delivering stuff, and we've been QCing it. Almost everything's been perfect. There's been a couple issues, so that has caused delays. We sent out a notice to people that have purchased. So far, there's like a 3 to 4 week delay, so we should start shipping mid-October, hopefully, if there's no other delays. And but we do plan on catching up in production after that. Like, we really want to hit the ground running, and as soon as we feel confident that the equipment is up to our standards, we're going to start to build them very quickly and ship them very quickly. So people who, the first, group of orders are probably going to be delayed, but then hopefully the people that have been ordering later are going to get them on time or even early, and hopefully we'll catch up there. I've had a lot of fun with my prototype, making video content that we've been posting on Good Nature's social media channels. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be filming more. My brother made me send him the press platen back because they had to do some testing, so I haven't been able to use my machine in a couple of weeks, but I should be able to get that back in a few days. And I've been asking him to post updates on the parts coming in and stuff, but they've just been so busy just actually trying to finish everything. He hasn't had time, but it is exciting. It's an awesome machine. I've really enjoyed using it. I think it's, the X1 for us was the product that put us on the map when my dad invented it in the 90s. And we've been selling that equipment for, 30 years now. And it's really carried the company. And I think Hummingbird's the next product that, I think this will be like a 30-year product for us. I'm really excited about it.
How's the cleanup on it?
It's awesome.
Deep clean. It's nice, right?
Oh my God. It's like, you don't dread the juicing process anymore with Hummingbird because it's so quick and easy to juice. I mean, first of all, it makes a ton of juice for the footprint. And second of all, the cleaning is just so easy. It's like, it's like no big deal. You can just make 20 bottles of juice, quick cleanup, and you're done. As opposed to this sort of like, oh my God, if I make this juice, I'm going to have to, spend all this time cleaning and everything. So yeah, it's really an amazing product. I think the engineers did an amazing job of this one. So
it's awesome.
I'm really excited to get it out there in the world and for people to start using it and talking about it. I think it's going to be a great product. So Katelin, let's get into intro. I've had you on I think you've done IG Live together. You've been on my other podcast, done Juice Makers Association stuff together. So for people that aren't familiar with your background, maybe you can just give a quick, 2 to 3 minute intro about your background, how you get into juicing, and what Juice Co. LG is all about.
Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Good Nature. We've been exclusively using Good Nature products and juicers since day one. We just hit 9 years in business,
Wow.
which was a great milestone for us. Yeah. We are based in the Bay Area, so Silicon Valley, really, the heart of Silicon Valley, servicing many professionals and corporations in the area. Hyper local, very boutique type of juicery, one kind of flagship location with a lot of other kind of strategic partnerships. I mentioned the corporate catering. We have a residency at a professional soccer stadium right now. So we try to integrate in our community in really unique ways because we are so, small and local. But I have a huge passion for food and feel a huge responsibility to tap into our local produce here in the Bay Area. We have an amazing access to amazing produce. We can get into the details of that. 100% organic glass bottles. This is what our packaging looks like. We use 12 ounces and we make everything in-house, no HPP. And that's the gist of it. We do lots of superfood smoothies, lots of bowls, salads, all of that, but juice is still definitely our main focus.
So you're a mother of three, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have an 8-year-old and twins. Yeah.
Yep. And so what was the reason for getting into the juicing business in the first place?
I've always been passionate about food. It's always been like a forefront in my life. I traveled a lot and I got my degree in business coming out of college. And I started traveling a lot domestically and internationally. And I juiced a lot at home myself. I played collegiate volleyball. So health and wellness was kind of, really in the forefront of everything that me and my husband did in our day-to-day lives and our hobbies. And traveling, I would go to like suburbs of DC or Australia, or just these small little suburb areas, not even big cities, that had these really small, unique boutique juice bars. And it was very complexing why we didn't have that in the Bay Area, one of the most fast-paced, affluent areas in the country. And I would come home from trips and I would like search on Yelp, organic cold pressed juice. And I found Good Nature. And it would just pop up like a Whole Foods juice bar or Jamba Juice. And I was like, this is not what I'm looking for. And I had been working in Silicon Valley, utilizing my business degree for almost 10 years. And I just felt the itch to get back into food and get back into health and wellness and really focus my energy into something I was super passionate about. And that has now yielded almost a whole nother decade of my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually interesting. I remember I would always look at the data when the juice industry was taking off back around when you started. And I'm always like, why are there no juice bars in San Francisco Bay Area? Like there was one, is it called the Juice Shop or something?
Juice Shop.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Ben, the owner, last week. They're good guys and their model, they're still, very true to their origin.
Right. Glass bottle, raw, everything. Right.
But they're one of the only ones. If you go in the city, there's a couple, but few and far between.
Yeah. But I mean, back then though, like, cause it started to take off 2012, it started to become more popular. Celebrities are getting their pictures taken, holding bottles of juice and, in New York and LA and doing juice cleanses and everything. But San Francisco Bay Area, for some reason, was just really lagging behind the rest of the coastal cities, like because it really started in LA and New York right around the same time. It was like Organic Avenue and like Blueprint on the East Coast, and then trying to remember what the first ones were.
Suja.
I was like Suja, Press Juicery.
Which I have a press juicery across the street.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're everywhere now. But so that's interesting because I guess you actually living there, you're like, why isn't there any juice around here, right?
I would come home from travel. I traveled a lot in my early 20s, and I would come home and I would just get on Yelp and search and be like, I hope one popped up because I don't want to have to start this.
Yeah.
And so it was like just such a vacancy in the market space. I love this industry. I think it's so unique. Our model is definitely a little more unique because we make everything in-house. It allows us to be really creative and tap into seasonal produce. So our juice menu changes every week and really evolves with the produce I can get fresh. And so we have really like a farm to bottle approach that doesn't exist a lot in this space. Because we use our X1 and we have such a good relationship with that machine. I, say that we've really built a relationship and know how it works. And we source what we can from this one organic distributor that then sources from all these local farms. And most of our produce, things that aren't like ginger, turmeric, pineapple, coconut, which are obviously not coming from California. Everything else, like 80% of what we're sourcing is under 200 miles from our shop, and it has been harvested within 3 to 4 days. So our harvest to bottle time frame is under a week, which is honestly,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. California gets the best produce.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was running the operation in Vegas, we had to source all our organic produce from basically your area.
Yeah.
Because only certified organic product available to us.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, like looking at the aspects that you can actually bring to the table. Being in Silicon Valley is like how high labor is, the cost of produce, overhead, all that stuff. I think it'd be really interesting what you can bring to the table on those aspects, because there's different pricing across the U.S. and the world, basically, of what you're kind of at that peak and how you kind of get through a lot of that stuff. That's going to be great.
Certainly.
And Katelin, I just have to say, you run an amazing business as an operator.
Thank you.
Just the way you run the business and manage the employees and the staff and the kitchen, you follow all the HACCP guidelines and keeping things at temperature. And like, I really do think you set a great example for the industry.
Thanks.
And I know you also do some consulting and help other businesses as well, which is great. I think you definitely have a lot of very specific expertise. I mean, the raw juice industry is so specific, but you've really figured it out with the glass bottle, raw juice, farm to bottle stuff. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
So I ran a poll on Facebook in July. I can't believe it's been that long since we've done an episode. I asked, quick juice industry checkup for people that have been in business for over a year. How are juice sales compared to last summer? And it overwhelmingly came in positive, which I think is great. I was kind of nervous when I posted that. I'm like, ooh, I hope this isn't going to come back like everyone's saying the industry is terrible, But no, it actually came back. 20% of people replied that they haven't been in business for over a year. So if you take those out, then 70% of juice business owners replied 2024 has been better than 2023. Is that what you've seen at your shop?
We're growing month to month. We're seeing a 30% increase of growth right now.
Whoa.
Consistently. And I'm trying to track exactly where that's coming from. It's great. But I'm trying to we have great retention. So I'm trying to decipher in all of my reportings, my team and I have been working on actually the last month is like, is this just, our customers, returning on a more frequent basis, or is this actually generating new leads that are coming into the shop and finding us in different areas? So it's great.
Can you remind me, do you sell food products as well?
Mm-hmm. It's mostly, our shop is small. We have 900 square feet. So we try to do big volume out of a small space. I already touched on the fact that cost of living is massive. So I have to work in those confines, but we do smoothie bowls, which we definitely consider part of our like food made to order line. But on all of our salads, we usually rotate like 3 to 4 salads in our cold case. Those are all grab and go. I just don't have space physical space to do made to order salads, et cetera, out of the kitchen because our juicing takes up so much of that space. But then we make like little power bites and like vegan like snacks and stuff, but that's it.
What is the general mix? Like if you look at your sales for a given month, juice versus other products?
Gone to about 60% up until about 3 months ago, and it broke about 50-50 to smoothies and smoothie bowls. So we're right. It's just about a 50-50 split.
Are you seeing any increased interest in protein products?
Yes. Yeah. I actually switched to a different protein, same company and brand, but just slightly different kind of ingredients in there, so we could increase the protein per serving to help just really lean into that. And it was what consumers were wanting. And then I created a very protein specific smoothie this summer as part of our summer menu to continue to kind of tap into that.
I feel like there's things are cyclical, and I feel like protein is back in trend right now. There's people like Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman are all pushing this super high protein diet. There's a lot of focus on just sort of, I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I know plenty of plant-based people that don't worry about their protein intake and are very fit, and I just don't know if you really need that much protein. Regardless, it seems like right now the trend is more protein focused and less about like fruits and vegetables. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too recently, especially the, you remember we used to talk about the European style smoothies where they reference a smoothie and a bottle with a cap on it. Whereas we're familiar with the smoothie, but I've seen a lot over here where they're looking for a thicker kind of smoothie, not as thick as a traditional smoothie, but something thicker than a plant-based milk that's in a bottle, but also incorporates protein, like a bunch of different plant-based milks, slightly thicker, maybe some purees, but with that boost of protein. I've seen that quite a bit and had quite a bit of people calling in about that as well.
The top like add-on item question that we get, or people walk in like, what do you have that's high in protein? It's definitely trending.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your bottles and labels. This is always everyone's favorite question. We always joke that if you look at any post on our Facebook group at all about anyone posting something about their business, the very first question is like, where'd you get your labels? Where'd you get your bottles?
Yeah.
There's like the first like 5 questions are about the labels and bottles. So let's talk about your bottles and labels. Maybe we can hold it up again and kind of rotate it around slowly so we can see.
Here.
Yeah. So is that printed on the bottle, the white label?
It's not.
It's a sticker?
We still sticker on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go into kind of why, but this is a clear like label sticker. This is the expiration date. That's what's like poking through the back. And then, on the top here, is just a sticker that we're printing in house. This allows us to like prep, bottles ahead of time. And schedule either what we call
so it's just your brand on the label. Do you put the raw juice warning on there?
No. So I have a hang tag that will go on top of this. I do have like perishable, keep refrigerated, unpasteurized, 100% raw juice on this sticker also. But we do add like a hang tag to kind of complete the packaging and the branding look. And that has the full, disclosure on there.
Okay, so then you get the bottles and you buy them by the pallet. Those are stand pack bottles, correct?
Stand pack.
That you purchase with the screw top lid, it looks like?
Yeah. These are screw, yeah. They also have that milk bottle version.
Right. So you get it by the pallet, and then you have a clear sticker with your branding on it that you just, you'll slap on like a whole bunch of bottles right away? Or
Yep. Yeah, we'll sticker just as many bottles as we can when there's slow days in retail or somebody wants extra hours or we have actually like a schedule we follow. But it is definitely a project that you can kind of utilize to, take up time if needed.
Right. And then when you actually go to make the juice for a production run, then that's when you put the recipe sticker on the lid?
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
Because we do change our menu so frequently. And I was just talking to a consulting client last week about really, if you're printing, in my opinion, if you're printing, stickers that are specific to that recipe, it just doesn't allow you, I don't find, the financial freedom to buy as much in bulk where you can lower your price per unit. Then if you want to discontinue a recipe or pause a recipe, or you change one ingredient, you are kind of locked into that. So it's definitely preference. But I find
Yeah.
this to be better.
I do think it's too big of a risk to get a bunch of like bottles pre-printed with the recipes on them specifically.
For
Yeah.
sure. And sometimes, especially if you're getting plastic pre-printed, they get that air gap so quickly, like if they apply the label themselves and you get them, or if they get dirty on transport and you got to wash them, and then they get like water behind the label and stuff. So that's tricky as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't found it beneficial for small juice bars to get stuff pre-printed or pre-labeled. I know it's kind of a pain point of like labeling bottles and stuff, but same with like pouring bottles. Everyone's like, should I buy like an automated bottle filler? It's like, it really doesn't make sense, I don't think, unless you get to a certain size. Yeah, I know it feels annoying to pour juice into a bunch of bottles, but it's the best way to do it on a small scale. Until you get to like a factory scale and you're doing thousands of bottles, then it makes sense.
Yes.
If you're like running an HPP brand doing 5,000 bottles per run, then you can get everything pre-labeled, pre-printed, whatever. But I think for our general audience, it's best not to.
I got a question. Do you have any tips and tricks to applying those labels straight?
Yeah,
I'm sure you do. You've been doing it 9 years. So
I was just filming a video of this last week. I find that it's better if you land the label on one side. We're using square bottles, so this does not work for round bottles. And then you almost like press it down really hard and like one. It's very much an art. Like you secure one side with the two corners, and then you press it down.
So you line up the two corners so the edge is flat with the bottom, right? And then you just kind of press it down.
Yeah. It's like a one swoop motion.
For round bottles, you can get those rolling applicators that I do think do work pretty well. Because it's still, small volume. I think it still makes sense for those. It's not like automated, but you just roll it on. It's pretty nice.
It takes time to calibrate it, get it set. Then once it's set, you're good. You know, with those round ones, I find.
Yeah, I've seen when I worked out of a commissary kitchen, I saw a hot sauce company, and they were small they weren't doing, more than what we're doing, and they had round bottles, and I saw that machine in action, and it seems great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, that's juice bottles and labels. Anything else you want to add to that? How do you? I guess I'd be curious about the return program. That you run.
Yeah, so we exclusively use glass. I think I get questions on that a lot is, how did you decipher to go to glass? Why not plastic? Is there a risk? Like, do you find there to be a more risk of utilizing glass from like a safety standpoint? I don't know if it's luck or we have just been really diligent about our SOPs and how we handle things and how we QC everything. But we have never had an issue with glass. We don't really break a lot of glass. The bottles I find are actually very sturdy. They don't chip. They don't, like I said, I don't know if it's luck or we just have things dialed in. We do kind of have an internal joke that you're not really initiated into the Juice Co family until you break one bottle. But yeah, we really don't break a lot. I find glass, especially if you're doing raw juice, I find glass to just be so much superior. This is a very high-end premium product that we're selling. We're using the most high-end equipment that you can buy in the industry. It's making basically liquid gold. And to package it in anything less than glass, in my opinion, feels like a deterioration slightly. It's definitely more expensive, but it's much more of a story that you can tell. It protects the product. It maintains temperature a lot better. The drinking experience is a lot more high level. So if you're in an area that can support, the cost, I think it definitely makes sense. And then to your question about the bottle return program, it's a great retention tool. We don't charge a bottle deposit, so I can keep kind of the entry price to purchase a little bit lower up front. So there's not this complete sticker shock. And then, there's a 25-cent return back to their same day purchase. So it's not necessarily a credit for the future. It does really kind of lock them into spending money on their next purchase. It's also because I don't want the nightmare of like tracking, this person, we owe them 50 cents. So it's like, just bring your bottles in. And we do also spread out, a lot of marketing campaigns across the year. So Earth Day, we do like double points. If we need bottles and we're waiting for a shipment to come, we do a double point day, and people love that. Some people save up their bottles because they know we're going to do that. I have had an excellent experience with glass.
I think it's a great automatic loyalty program, the glass bottles. Like, instead of getting points every time you buy something, it's like, bring the bottles back.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to do complicated tracking of points, punch cards, and all this stuff. It's just sort of
we do
automatic.
both.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I totally agree with the glass. I think a lot of juice bars complain that people don't understand the difference between their juice and Suja on the grocery shelf. It's like, well, using a glass bottle would be an automatic differentiator, so they know it's higher quality, and especially with all the microplastics trending news right now. Glass is only becoming more important as we go. Like, plastic is on everybody's radar now.
Yeah.
So
pretty cool advertising piece too. All my glassware in my house I've never bought it. It's just,
I know.
Cool.
taken from places. You got all around. People put flowers in it, vases, and
Yeah, I keep spices in old juice bottles and
totally
herbs and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, let's get into some seasonal stuff. So autumn is approaching. I know it started to cool down out here in Texas. So Katelin, what's on your radar as we change seasons here?
The whole retail industry is already fully in Halloween.
Pumpkin.
Yeah. So it's definitely, if it's not something you've already launched, I think it should definitely be on your radar and in the works or in a plan. The earlier you can start to plan that, the better for your operational purposes. You don't want to be behind the 8 ball on that. I selfishly, as I mentioned, summer is my favorite time of year. And because I can kind of dictate that in the business, we don't launch our fall menu until October 1st. And also it's when we start to get the really true fall produce. So we're already planning our fall specials. We juice sweet potatoes, we juice yuzu, we juice feojas, we juice pomegranates, persimmons, everything that will start to come in seasonally. So if you're on the juice side, you should be talking to your purveyors about what you can source and maybe you have one seasonal juice that you rotate. We have like 40, but at least have one that you can rotate in, or even an elixir, like in a fall elixir. Anything seasonal, I find it's an automatic yes for customers, and it's a great way to boost sales. For us, it's like add on an elixir shot, and it's a great way to boost the per transaction spend. And then I do know I do a lot more specials in the juice category. I do 1 or 2 in smoothie and bowls. But I know businesses that do a lot of seasonal bowls and have big success with it. So that's also a great way. We have like an apple crunch bowl launching on October 1st. We do a pumpkin spice, like power bite. We switch up our chia pudding that we keep grab and go. We'll have like spiced apples. We do a pumpkin date compote that we make for that. So a lot of little things here or there. You don't have to launch this, really overwhelming, massive menu. It can just be little things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely I like when you develop like a consistent seasonal options, like every quarter have like a juice, a smoothie, plant-based milk, or a bowl. Figure out what works for you and stay consistent with launching those products, on time and doing the proper build up for them. I find not only just for something seasonal, but something that I also find is trending is those adaptogen lattes, you know, and warm drinks where they take a plant-based milk, add various adaptogens to it, and then warm it and serve it like a latte. Those have been becoming more and more popular. A great way to, especially with the colder weather coming. I love fall. Fall's like my favorite, especially coming from Vegas where it's so hot and it starts to finally get a little cool and you get excited. So
Sweater weather's the best.
that's my favorite,
in my opinion.
Yeah,
You get to layer up and wear comfortable clothes. Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
Okay.
For seasonal items too, I love using a bunch more spices. Those produce items where you only pull out once a year for like Thanksgiving and stuff, like cranberries and all the sweet potatoes and pumpkin. That's the best to incorporate them any way possible into either your seasonal juice. Those ciders are great always, especially if you could serve them warm. If you have some way to be able to warm product to order for customers is awesome. And pureed soups, start thinking about some pureed soups are great. Where you just take an induction burner. A lot of times juice bars, they don't have hoods to be able to cook. But you could just bring an induction burner in a large pot, something simple where it's like 3, 4, 5 ingredients. Cook the product, put it in a blender, puree it, even serve it in nice glass bottles, you know, for retail, for customers to be able to take home, warm up for dinner and stuff.
Some nice mason jars or something. Yeah, Arrow on Market, they sell these, you know, the bigger mason jars with soups, and they're like $18 each or something.
The 32 ounces.
I don't even think it's 32 ounces. I think it's like maybe 24 or something. Well, maybe it's 32. I don't know. But it's like a very expensive soup. But it is delicious.
Worth it.
Oh, there's one note I took while we were having the glass bottle discussion. Yeah, so the milk bottle style, like Stand Pack or the ones we sell at Good Nature, those were designed to handle... Remember the old milk program where you'd leave your empty bottles out and they replace them with new ones? So they were reused hundreds of times. So that's why they're so durable.
Yeah.
And like, I've like dropped bottles like on the sidewalk and they just bounce and they're totally fine. You know, they're
Same.
very, very durable bottles. Yeah. The only time they break, if it lands on the side or something, it's going to break. But if you get lucky and it lands on the bottom or the top or something, it usually doesn't break. So yeah, very durable. Yeah, and since they are reusable, I know people complain about the price of glass bottles, but if you're really reusing them, the cost ends up less, I think, in the long run.
And it stretches
like
your cash flow.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I know like a plastic bottle, 16-ounce bottle, you'll spend, 45 cents or something, and glass, you'll spend $1. Or less if you're buying by the pallet plus shipping, whatever. Let's call it like $1.50. But if you're getting, on average, 3 uses out of each, then it's the same price. And if you're getting more, then it becomes less. So maybe in the end, you're spending a little more or about the same. But I don't think it's clearly just like you're spending that much more per bottle. You know what I mean?
Gotten these down. We are buying 7,000 at a time, which I realize is not, is not always possible with the smaller companies starting out. But as you build terms with these companies and can kind of stretch yourself or maybe put it on a line of credit or use, the price per unit matters. I've gotten these down to, I think it's 76 cents with a lid with freight for my glass bottles.
Whoa. Yeah.
I know.
That's pretty good.
So sorry. I know you guys also sell glass, but it's doable. Like it's definitely, if anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good price. Yeah, and again, most of our audience isn't buying bottles 7,000 at a time, but
storage is tough.
Storage.
I rent a storage unit.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, but it works.
Yeah, but then cash flow. So you have a capital expenditure of the bottles, but then you're selling juice for, I'm just guessing, but a few months out of that purchase and then getting bottle returns and stuff. So, so the cash flow is pretty good there too.
Yeah, the cash
demographic. is important too. Like, you're probably an amazing demographic for people that recycle. I know I've talked to clients in Michigan. Michigan's really big on recycling too, and Alaska, and like they have zero issues using glass because their clientele is just so amazing at recycling, and they're used to it. Whereas there's some areas where they don't even know what recycling is sometimes. They just one time use, and that's where there's a big challenge as well.
No, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Oh, our 12-ounce glass are 60 cents each plus freight. So I guess it's not that much different.
That's not
Probably
bad.
comes out to pretty close. Yeah.
It really, yeah.
Okay. So Ari, I know you mentioned maybe talking about some trends going on in the industry.
Yeah. Besides those warm adaptation lattes and the smoothies, I mean, that's what I was working on the whole time. But I find overall trends, what I find more and more popular are places that have been focused on smoothie and acai bowls. I think are extremely popular, like operations that's their primary focus, and then other operations that are primarily focused on toast. I think both those two categories of establishments, hospitality, restaurants have been gaining more and more traction, whether it's those franchises or people replicating that style of operation. I find that being huge this last year, And
I mean, the toasts are a great business model, right? Because you don't need like a full commercial kitchen. You can do it all right on the counter. Just have your ingredients ready, and you can make a ton of different. It's kind of like smoothies or acai bowls. Like you can make a ton of different items using this, a certain set of ingredients, right?
Yeah, I talk to clients too about. I talk to a lot of people about. They always ask, "Is juice trending, or is it? Do you find it being a fad that's kind of fading out?" Juice is such a weird category for a restaurant. It's like a category of its own. Like it works hand in hand with all those different styles of operations I just mentioned. Like the bowls and the toasts, and there's not many other categories where you could have someone come in and buy 6, 7 bottles at a time, as a cleanse. And it's the norm to buy multiple units of one category of item. But the cool thing about juice too is there's people that seek it out. Like Katelin, you were talking about that, trying to find an area where it's kind of like an entry into your operation. The program that I started in the hotel, they essentially didn't care if they made money on juice. They just knew that people would seek out that property to get a room there and visit and stay at that property just because a bottle of juice. So I think that's kind of amazing that it's such a separate and different category than everything else. But
yeah, it's one of those special products that will bring people into your place because it's special, and then while they're there, they'll buy other stuff too.
That's
you
why
can't really say that about like salads or something.
That's why I find the specials in the juices and even in the smoothies and bowls, but to work so well because everybody loves something that's like exclusive or they can only get their hand on it a certain amount of time. Like we have one, it's a orange cream is what we call it. So it's kind of a nut milk, but it's more coconut cream base with like a house pressed fresh orange juice, vanilla and coconut nectar. And I can't keep it on the shelf. So we made 60 units today and it's going to be gone probably in the next 2 hours. And it's just one of those things that like once you get your consumers to know about it, everybody's spreading the word. I always say like you want people, driving around town craving whatever they had last time they were visiting you. And I find that those specials just really attract people, and it's like word of mouth. People and Instagram and social media certainly helps with that. But it's a great way to keep them coming back. That's an interesting point though, that I love that. I think I knew that, but never thought about it in that category in terms of a food product that people are buying 6, 7 units at a time, which you're not buying 6 or 7 salads necessarily unless you're meal prepping, but juice definitely has that pull.
Yeah, you at least have the potential to sell somebody a juice cleanse when they come in, right? Like
Or just a 4-pack, like just
Right.
some type of deal in that package. Yeah.
Sorry, I got off topic. I know we talk about trends and
how dare you,
made a
Ari?
left turn somewhere, but yeah, but those categories, the bowls and the toasts have been so popular lately.
Yeah, I would say another trend I see is the wellness studio trend, where it's becoming more. Okay, first of all, the classic juice bar is turning into more than that, right? It's turning into more of like a real retail sort of restaurant, like wellness cafe. Like the old Jamba Juice style is kind of dying, and it's becoming more of like comedy. Already, like you said, toast and acai bowls and smoothies, but then also in combination with yoga studio or Pilates or bar or whatever, and maybe some other sort of wellness like sauna and infrared or something. It seems like to me that's a growing trend as well. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like where they team up with like run clubs, and that's been real popular with juice bars. You know, started like little groups and developing kind of like experiences that are tied in with their operations. I think that's really cool experience. You know, a lot of yoga studios or classes tied in. I think that's a great trend.
Right now
All
with
right.
the local run club, and it's going really well.
So
cool.
talk to me a little bit about how that works.
They approached us, being kind of a staple of like health and wellness in our community, which took a long time to build up. But so now, you know, once you get established and you're known for that and you stay to your core values, people start to kind of seek you out as like a desired partner. I still have to do a lot of grassroots on my own, but yeah, in this case, it was a newer run club. They're called Silicon Valley Run Club. And they grew super fast, and they were doing, you know, so much of run clubs now are social, the social aspect. So they're only running, you know, like I think max 6 miles. So it's like 3 to 6 miles. And then they're meeting up at like a brewery after. And this run club was
Right.
like, yeah, we can only do so much beer after a run.
Yeah.
And so we want to do, yeah, like a Juice Co. Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, Juice Co. meetup after the run. And that's been great. Now they're making swag, and now we're looking at other ways how we can partner. So it's just another great grassroots marketing effort for sure.
So something I'd like to talk to you about, Katelin, is one of my marketing strategies for Hummingbird is I want to partner up with our Good Nature customers and do like Good Nature pop-up educational juicing events. So we would come out to you and sponsor like a educational event there and sort of teach people about the difference between cold press and other juicing methods, and we can kind of throw a party at your place, or you know, maybe you can invite the run club and other local groups and stuff. It'd be kind of like a launch event. So
That'd be awesome.
we should talk more about that. I think I want to start rolling that out either towards the end of the year or early next year. And I think your location would be a great place to sort of kick that off.
Yeah, I mean, as affluent and educated as our area is, I still do quite a bit of education to consumers about cold pressed juice, and I still get comments sometimes of like they look in the fridge and they're like, "Oh, it's already pre-made," and so there's a whole elevator pitch that we go through, you know, for the 15 seconds that we have of their attention. But it is still really an educational process to help them understand that, like, no, this is actually, you know, better than you making at home unless you have a cold press juicer. Or they even still think they're like, yeah, I cold press everything. And they don't even, they conflate that term. It's so, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is because these companies like Kuvings and Nama have done a good job at adopting the term and changing what it means. They're like, oh no, it's cold press because there's no heat. It's like, yeah, but where's the press? There's no press. It's just a screw and a metal screen. Like, it's a completely different juicing method. And the most frustrating thing for me is I've created this content where we show like masticating juice, like off a Nama juicer next to
Yeah.
cold press juice, and show the difference.
The time
and
lapse
people
video?
take that. Okay, there's the time lapse, yes, but other photography too, where we actually use like a slow juicer instead of centrifugal. And people take that to show how their Kuvings like is this cold press versus other juice. I'm like, no, idiot, that's the bad one. Like that's the one that's on the other side of the picture.
I think it's kind of cool that like a clearly masticating juicer is clearly labeling themselves as cold press because they want to be cold press. So
yeah, but then I did see this funny
misinformation sucks.
It's confusing
I'm in all these juicing
for the
groups on-
consumer.
Yeah, I'm in these juicing groups on Facebook, and I saw one in this like weight loss group where they said, "How come I use a cold press juicer, but my juice looks like the picture on the left?" I'm like, because that is not cold press. And I'm like, people are arguing with me. I'm like, I literally am the one that made the juice and took the pictures, guys. Like, stop arguing with me about this. This is my photo.
I didn't want to have to
funny.
name drop, but now I will.
It keeps me awake at night, but
It's really
right. It
confusing
just
to
means
the
we-
consumer, honestly. It's very confusing.
I know. So then, like, I've experimented with, like, okay, instead of calling our machines cold press, we're going to call them two-stage juicers, you know, because it's like grinding and pressing, and some people call it two-stage. But then people are like, well, I don't want a two-stage. I want a cold press. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is
Yeah.
hopeless.
It's just constant education, and we just all have a responsibility to do our part. And yeah, hopefully we can keep differentiating.
Yeah. But so I think, like, now since we're trying to market Hummingbird to homes as well as like a high-end home juicer for people that like bulk juicing and make a lot of juice, I think now we can actually start investing in trying to educate consumers. So, you know, throwing these pop-up events at our cost, I think, I mean, at least the way I see it, would be cool for you because we're doing something for your customers and like kind of throwing a party at your place, and you can invite all your regulars to come down.
They would love it.
And then it helps us out because we're like educating consumers as well. So I think it's kind of a win-win. So yeah, if you're interested, I'd love to kick it off at your place.
That'd be great. We'd love it. My team would love it. Everybody geeks out about
Be awesome.
our juice. So they would, I mean, we use an X1 and it's a workhorse and it's great. But anything fresh and new, they would love.
Look, Hummingbird is basically a mini X1. It's got the continuous grinder on it. So just like the X1, you just keep feeding stuff in and it grinds it. Like the M1 and X1 Mini, since we use such a big hopper on that, we had to stop the blade every time it opens.
Yeah.
But I think the continuous grinder is much better. It's just a much better workflow, just like the big X1, you know, the EG260 grinder.
Yep.
And then the Hummingbird has a big old press on it for the size of it. So it really is like a mini X1. So it's a lot more similar to the X1 than the M1 or X1 Mini are actually the way it works. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. Cool.
I walked into a juice bar near me recently. Last time I walked in there, they just had somebody else's juice in the cooler. This time I walk in, I see an M1 on the counter. I was like, oh, I didn't know you guys use a Good Nature machine here. I'm like, this is my company. He's like, wait, are you Charlie Wetlaufer? Dude, you're like a celebrity, man. Like,
No way.
Like, yeah, he's like, your dad, the rocket scientist that started the company. I'm like, oh, wow, you really know our story, don't you?
That's super cool.
It's always fun. It's like very rare to get recognized in the juice industry, but it's pretty fun when it happens.
That's super cool.
It's happened like 3 times in my whole life. But all right, Katelin, this was fun. Thanks for joining. Ari, it's fun as always.
Yeah.
Katelin, if people want to follow your company and your story, how do they do that?
Yeah. At JuiceCo LG, Instagram, very updated and consistent. So check everything out there.
Cool. If anyone wants consulting services from Ari or Katelin or Celia, whether they're on branding or operations or recipes, back of house stuff, go to goodnature.com/consulting and just fill out the form there. We'll be happy to get on a free consultation call with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you next time.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Good Nature.